How is it going then, everybody? I hope you're all doing very well. Welcome back to another video here on our channel. My name is the FIFA Analyst, and today we're going to be talking to you about a video that you've been wanting for absolutely ages from myself. We're going to be teaching you guys how to play a switch and how to use the right stick when you come to switch with that as well. I do think there's a time and a place to use L1 or LB, but also to right stick, which is predominantly how I do play a switch in FIFA 20. If you do enjoy the video, please do let me know by dropping a like. You can also subscribe to the channel. We do upload every single day at 5 PM, and we do also stream every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're going to go ahead first of all and talk about the actual controller settings that you guys should be running when it comes to player switching. So the first one we discuss is the second defender switch icon. I personally have this off. What does this actually do? It puts an icon over the player that you're not controlling. So when you're defending, it puts an icon over the head to know if you were to switch with L1, who does it switch to next? I don't like the overload of information, so I don't run it. Auto switching I have on air balls and loose balls. You don't want this on auto. If you want it on manual, you can, but I find that's a little bit more risky. You have to switch everything yourself. Air balls and loose balls is definitely the best one. Automatic, get away from, don't want it at all. Right stick switching. So this is where it's a little bit different. You can run play relative or ball relative. Play relative is the default setting. I think that's the best setting if I am honest with you. And the reason for that is it will change player based on where you are with the player with the right stick. Ball relative is where the focal point is, where the ball is, which doesn't make sense to me. I find play relative to be superior. How do I right stick switch them? So in this sort of situation, you can see I want to switch to Mendy. It is a simple flick of the right stick to the left. However, where you guys can go wrong, and you can blame right stick switching, you don't put this angle right to the left. You might do it left and down ever so slightly, like the way I've put on the screen there, which then means that would have switched to Vidal. So you just have to make sure when you are right stick switching, you are accurate and you are pinpoint to where you actually want to switch to. If you have a slightest bit of angle, because there's so many players on the pitch, the game can see it as there's multiple options. If you right stick switch to the left, but you do it on a little bit down, like what would have happened there, is it would have changed to Vidal. So you just need to make sure that those right stick switches are bang smack where you want them to be. And then we go into it in a little bit more detail in a second to show you, well, how do we get around that as well. I do use L1, LB to switch as well. I don't just use the right stick. When you want an LB, L1 switch, I find that's best if you've messed up your switching to basically fall back and change to the guy that's closest to the ball, because that's what it will do for you. I've just slowed this one down to just show you how many times I actually play a switch with the right stick. Keep an eye on the controller in the bottom screen as well to get an indication of that, because I'm constantly switching and they're all pretty pinpoint, if I'm honest with you. It's not very often where I do miss it up too bad. Moving on to the next point. This is where I'm going to constantly be changing between my two CDMs with the right stick. I'm going to go up and down, and my aim is here is to always move those centre defensive mids and keep them in front of his striker, keep those passing lanes blocked, and that's where you need to use the right stick. If you use L1 there's a chance that it might change to the right back, to an attacker. It's completely not reliable, so you need to make sure you're switching quite nicely there. This is one of the examples where I mean that the game might screw you over a little bit. So I right stick switch up directly. Just look at that again, just to show you. Right stick switch up, it changes me to Ferdinand. Now, I need to not panic here. I then switch with L1, and that's going to take me to the guy that's closer to the ball. The key thing is that if it does switch to the wrong player, like I didn't want that to change to Ferdinand, I wanted that to go to De Ligt, I think it was. So it messed up a little bit. How do I want to get back to Zambrotta, who's closest to the ball? An L1 or an LB switch will always transfer you to the guy that is closest to the ball holder. You need to get to him. Just click L1, click LB, and it takes you to the guy that's closest to the ball holder. That is the most effective way to use L1, LB. Now, if you were to just press LB or L1 in and around the box when you're currently controlling the guy that's got the ball, when you're currently controlling the guy that's closest to the ball, it can be very unpredictable, and you'll find that you're constantly hitting L1, LB in hope that you will get to the right mid, the right centre defensive mid, whoever it is that you want to control. It's very unpredictable, guys. For me, out of, let's say, 100 switches, I would imagine at least 80 of them are going to be with the right stick. It is much more reliable. Although it can be a little bit difficult, and I will again talk to you about that in a second, it is certainly the go-to. If you are just switching with L1 or LB, we need to change that. We need to go ahead and move on to the right stick as well. There are a few little factors that come into how right stick switching cannot be too effective in terms of why you're struggling with it, and that can come down to connection, but also the buttons that you are pressing when it comes to in-game. So we'll jump onto that in just a second. We're just going to take a look at another little section here for us as we jump into it. So you can just see I'm currently holding with Militao. I want to switch over to the long lay. This is a simple right stick up once, and that changes to long lay. If I wanted to change to the guy that's closest to the ball, L1 or LB will transfer me to De Jong there. It wouldn't have transferred me to long lay, which is why you have to be pinpoint with that right stick to get it to where you want to be directly on that front. So what is it that can actually affect right stick switching, and what can it make it go bad for you? For me, if you are holding sprint and jockey as you are right stick switching, what can happen is it doesn't switch all the time, and then you end up switching to the right back instead of the right centre back, and you panic. And that's where you just need to be calm and just go, okay, I've switched to the right back. If you watch these patterns closely, you'll see that sometimes I will switch over to the man on the far side and I don't want to, but I will immediately spot that and I will change to the player that I want to go back to straight away. So you just have to be that little bit more composed in the switches. If it does go wrong, guys, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Just get back to the player that you need to be. Don't spam L1 to try and get to where the guy that you want to be. Just stay composed, switch with the right stick. If it changes to the player that you don't want, switch again with the right stick and be persistent with it. If you have never switched with the right stick before, this is going to be like a completely different game for you, all right? It's not easy. It's something that comes with time. You do have to be patient with it. It is a very high learning curve, but if you really do want to improve at FIFA, you have to be right stick switching. L1 just by itself isn't strong enough. You have to excuse me, guys. I'm feeling a little bit funny today. My voice is a little bit off, but yeah, so you have to make sure that you are switching with that right stick as well. When it comes to right stick switching for me, you will see that I am constantly changing, and I feel that fine. That helps so much with me getting to the CDMs, covering the passing lanes, and making it very hard for the opponent to find any spaces in between the gaps of the defence, in between the centre defensive mids, and so on. If you had this on auto or airballs, auto, or you were just switching with the L1, LB stick, you just can't do it, if I am honest with you. Let's say I have switched from my striker and I'm going to my centre mid, and I want to change to my centre back, but the players are running in behind. If you do that simple L1 pass, as long as he is the closest man to the ball, it will always change you to that guy, which then means that you can then be composed. You can then change to your centre back, to your left back, wherever it is that you want to be, and use the right stick for that. You just need to make sure that when it does happen, you're being composed, calm, and you've got the little patterns. You will notice as a whole, when you are playing FIFA, what sort of patterns you will use when it comes to right stick switching. So for me, if I want to just transfer straight back to the centre back, I know that a straight left on the right stick will do that for me, while some people will kind of go up and left, which changes to the left back, and that's where you get a little bit confused. So as I said, keep an eye on your controller. I'm not saying look down all the time to kind of get an idea of where you are actually pointing, but just have a conscious sort of mindset on it, because if you don't, I do find that people say, oh, it's switching to the wrong player all the time because you're not pointing in the right direction on the angle on the analog stick, and then when it switches to the wrong player, you then panic, and then you just click L1, LB and just hit and hope, and then you just carry on switching with the right stick, and you never get to where you want to be. It's about being calm, it's about being composed, and not worrying about it at the end of the day. I do find right stick switching, when you do master it, it helps you massively. People do ask me, how do I manage to cut the passing lane so quick? How do I cover everything? How do I get in the opponent's face? This is what contributes towards that. If I was just using L1, LB, it really, really wouldn't work for you. So when you do want to switch as well, just to kind of recap over it for us, make sure that certain situations, when the game is delayed, obviously FUT Champ servers, we know what they're all like. If you are holding R2 and L2, sprint and jockey, as you are doing it, what can happen is that sometimes it just doesn't change player with the right stick. Sometimes let go of the right R2, RS, R2, RT on Xbox and PS4, and then the jockey button as well. So you sprint and jockey button, you need to make sure that sometimes you're letting go of them, and then right stick switch with that. Sometimes it'll be fine, sometimes it doesn't matter, but I did find that helped me in the games when the game's a little bit delayed. It's not exactly the most clean connection, because it just then switches for it. There's a lot of times where I'm like spamming the right stick and it's just not changing, and it's almost like the game's got too many commands, it doesn't really know what to do, and it just doesn't change for you. It is very, very irritating, but it is one thing that I find can help in those delayed games of FIFA. I'm not going to say it doesn't exist, because obviously FIFA run delay does exist. It does happen. So that's how you can kind of get around right stick switching in those sort of situations. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. If you do have any questions, please do pop them down in the comment section. Again, apologies for my voice, and it feels a little bit quite hard to talk at the minute as my phone just falls on the floor. You know, we'll just end it there. Well, I mean, it's just been a disastrous day so far, hasn't it? But I hope you guys have enjoyed. Please do let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. As I said, you can subscribe to the channel. We do upload every single day at 5 PM, and we do also stream over on twitch.tv. That's the best place for you to come over, ask any questions and all that sort of good stuff as well. And if you are interested in improving at FIFA, I do run a Patreon with a professional FIFA player, a professional FIFA coach, and also myself. A link in the description for that. There's some respectable prices on the tiers on there. You get daily access, daily posts, weekly videos, that sort of thing. So check that out if you are interested. I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one. Bye bye.